Zuying continued her meteoric rise, and became a top-ranking performer of the state, who enjoys the government allowance given by the State Council. She has also become a member of the Political Consultative Conference, executive committee member of All China's Women's Federation, a member of the National Youth Federation, and board director of Music Association of China. She enjoys the unparalleled privilege. She decides by herself what song to sing, and no directors or officials even in the central government's Ministry of Propaganda have a say in the matter. Leaders of the Chinese central and local governments were not less eager to please Sung, because they knew very well that it would be more rewarding than trying to please Jiang directly. Once, the Navy Song and Dance Band were going to entertain and comfort the Navy in Tibet. When a high-ranking Navy officer saw Sung's name on the list, he announced, "Sung is not going to Tibet. The high plain of Tibet is cold and harsh. If anything should happen to her, we wouldn't be able to face the General Secretary." In the summer of 2002, Sung traveled to a city in Sichuan to attend her one-person show, with approval of Zuying2, director of the Central Guard Bureau. Jiang, then party secretary of Sichuan province, provided Sung with top security guard services, something that would normally only be available to a national leader at a rank above vice premier. Among the numbers that Sung sang, was a Hubei folk song Dragon Boat Melody. There was a dialogue, "I, a young maiden, want to cross the river. Who will give me a piggyback ride?" Tens of thousands of people in the audience below the stage responded in unison, "Grandpa Jiang will give you one." Sung was very embarrassed, but she could not stop the performance. So, she had no choice but tough it out and continue singing. In the second verse of the song, once again, came the same dialogue. Tens of thousands of audience members below the stage responded loudly, "Grandpa Jiang will give you one." After she returned to the hotel, she wiped bitterly that night until her eyes turned red. The next day Sung flew back to Beijing to complain to Jiang. Jiang was angry, so he ordered the party secretary of that city in Sichuan to thoroughly investigate the incident. Jiang had a standing order that no TV camera should divert from Sung when broadcasting her performances, just to maintain absolute consistency in the recording of Sung's performance. So, a few days later, a reply was sent to the concerned department in the central government, saying that although the city's TV station and Public Security Bureau all videotaped the live performance that night, the cameras were all facing the stage, not the audience. Therefore, there was no way for them to identify the rioters. Nothing ever came out of this incident. To please Sung Zuying, Jiang spared no expense from the state's treasury. When Sung expressed her interest in performing a solo concert in Sydney's Opera Theatre, Jiang immediately appropriated tens of millions yuan for the Navy to use in making Sung famous in Australia. In 2002, the organizer of World Cup in Korea requested that China, along with other countries, send a celebrity singer to perform during the opening ceremony. And it ended up that Sung, who was regarded by the host as the second-rate, was dispatched. To China's embarrassment, Korea compensated all the other stars that appeared in the ceremony big time for their appearance, but Sung did not receive even a penny. Also, Jiang once paid over 10 million yuan of the state money to help Sung to publish her first DVD, which went on sale just before Lunar New Year Eve in 2002. But the biggest gift through which Jiang ingratiated himself with Sung was the National Grand Theatre. It occupies an area of 118,900 square meters, and sat on a construction site of 149,500 square meters. The investment for the core of the project was 2.688 billion yuan. The peripheral part of the project cost over 800 million yuan and was paid for by the city of Beijing. This part would be finished in 4 years. In addition to the above costs, a 300 million yuan investment was required before the completion of the project. The total for the project was 3.8 billion yuan, almost twice the sum of the donations made to the Hope Project, from both at home and abroad over the past 15 years. This amount could have subsidized 5 million poor students' educations. The National Grand Theatre is beset with other problems, such as light pollutions, high cleaning and maintenance expenses, a monthly electricity bill of 4 million yuan and more. China is currently in dire need of electricity. 140 scientists from the Chinese Academy of Sciences and Chinese Academy of Engineering, as well as 114 renowned architects, planners, and engineers, presented several joint letters to the Chinese central government, appealing to stop the plan to commission the French architect, Paul Andrew, to design the National Grand Theatre. Paul Andrew was suspect of being involved in fraudulent dealing in his effort to win the bid for the National Grand Theatre in Beijing. The French authority initiated the preliminary investigation of this allegation. He had no experience designing theaters. It's he who designed the new Terminal 2E, at Charles de Gaulle Airport, which suffered a fatal collapse of its roof on May 23, 2004. The accident caused 6 deaths and multiple injuries. As architectural experts have pointed out, from a cultural perspective, the Grand Theatre gives people an impression of a gigantic UFO full of aliens landing right in front of Zhongnanhai. Without reading any report about the building, people can immediately recognize that it's a huge mistake and embarrassment to have a building that is completely out of harmony with the traditional culture of Beijing, the ancient capital of 6 dynasties in Chinese history. Some have commented that the design was as practical as opening an umbrella indoors. And being inside felt like being trapped in a cocoon. As a result, the building had to reach underground as deep as 6 to 8 stories, a truly absurd design. In Feng Shui experts' opinion, the huge blob has ruined Beijing's Feng Shui, and destroyed our ancestors' grand celestial design for the city. It misplaced the yin and yang, and let the city under the spell of wicked yin qi. Jiang showed no regard for scientists' and experts' opinions. Perhaps it was a higher priority for him to please his mistress Song. He was determined to have it built as soon as possible. Some people came up with a semantic joke, and called the theater National Grand Brothel. On the other hand, Sung has been working hard to protect Jiang's rule to repay him. Her selections of songs consistently contain lyrics that praise the Chinese Communist Party and Jiang. Such as, "It's a good life. It is getting better. A leader that carries on the heritage and forges ahead into the future. Follow you forever," and so on.